Yeah, it's time. Good morning, everyone. It is top of the hour now, and we'd like to get started. If you would rise if you're able, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right. Welcome to our board meeting today. I am Tom Foster, President of the 2026 Board of Directors. And this regular meeting of the Rec Center of Sun City Board of Directors is audio and video recorded, as well as being live streamed by the RCSC management. Please take out your cell phones and electronic devices and check them to ensure they are in a silent mode. As a reminder, verbal or physical aggression towards any member, guest, or RCSC staff member is not acceptable, and offenders may be asked to leave the meeting. Now I'd like to introduce our timekeeper today and our management personnel. Timekeeper will be Secretary Kais.
Good morning.
General Manager is Rebecca Hill.
Good morning, everyone.
Director of Finance, not here yet? Okay, yes, I recall. He will not likely be here this morning. Thank you. Director of Facilities, Mike Whipperud. Director of Operations, Mike Dearmeyer.
Good morning.
Director of Golf, Eddie Renio. And the real power behind everything that happens here, the board coordinator, is Marcia Johnson.
Good morning.
All right, let me also recognize Alan Kleinhans, Carly Young, and Miguel Jackson, who serve as our audiovisual engineers. And of course, thank the Sundial staff who set this room up for us. I was checking the agenda to see whether we had an item here to play bingo, but I couldn't find that. So I guess we won't get that part in today. All right. First item of business is a roll call of the voting members. Secretary Kais, would you take that roll call?
Director Brissett. Good morning, everybody. Director Mapes.
Good morning.
Director Ruff.
Good morning, sunshine.
Treasurer Gray.
Good morning, everybody.
I'm here. Vice President Nettesheim.
Good morning, everybody.
President Foster.
Present.
Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Next is addressing the agenda. Are there any adjustments or requests to alter the agenda today? Okay, then we will say the agenda is approved and move forward. Approval of minutes. The minutes of the January 29th, 2026 meeting were posted for the directors to review. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right, seeing none. The minutes of the January 29th, 2026 meeting are approved. Thank you. Treasurer's report. Treasurer Gray, would you please comment on the treasurer's report?
Yes, thank you, sir. For the month ending of January 31st, 2026, the recreation centers of Sun City remain in strong financial condition. Total assets were about $162 million, up roughly $9 million from a year ago. And net worth is about $113 million compared with $107 million last year. We hold about $11.5 million in cash and short-term investments for operations and reserves, plus more than $51 million in dedicated preservation improvement and capital reserve funds to maintain and upgrade community facilities. Our main reserve funds are healthy and growing. The Preservation and Improvement Fund is about $40.9 million, up from $38.2 million. And the Capital Reserve is about $10.2 million, up from $8.9 million. We also have $8.5 million in projects currently underway, showing our continued investment in our centers, golf, bowling, and other capital works. On the liability side, current liabilities total about $49.2 million, but most of that is deferred income, money collected in advance of future services, capital projects, and traditional. So that's about $47 million in the deferred income. Operationally, January was a strong month. Total operating income was about $2.94 million, roughly $347,000 or 13% above budget, and about $302,000 higher than last January. After operating expenses, we posted an operating surplus of about $696,000, which is $535,000 better than budget. After including other income and expenses and depreciation, the overall surplus for the month was $7.6 thousand, compared with a budgeted deficit of about $531,000, a positive swing of roughly $539,000. Golf was a standout performer with about $1.9 million in income. That's above about $299,000 or 33% above budget. And that was driven by strong daily green fees, surcharges, cart, and range revenues. Operations across centers, bowling, shows, and rentals brought in about $1.75 million, about $46,000 above budget, and produced a solid surplus. Support, finance, and facility departments are generally at or better than budget on expenses, helping to keep overall cost under control. Restricted investment income from the preservation and improvement and capital reserve funds were below budget for January, and we recorded unrealized income losses, investment losses due to market conditions. As we all know, the markets fluctuate up and down, so that's to be expected. There are non-cash accounting adjustments that can reverse as markets change. Overall, we started 2026 in strong financial position with healthy reserves, better than budget operating results, and growing net worth, and we remain well positioned to maintain and improve the facilities and services that our members rely on. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Treasurer Gray. That was a very encouraging report. Ms. Johnson, would you please read names of any members who signed up to speak on the Treasurer's report?
Mr. President, no one signed up to speak on the Treasurer's report.
Mr. Deermeyer, anything on live stream? No, okay, thank you. Okay, are there any questions or comments by the directors on the Treasurer's report? Secretary Keiss.
Yeah, one thing that Director McCurdy mentioned earlier in the month that I thought was very interesting. People have been asking for a long time, okay, for a couple years ago, we talked about all this deferred maintenance and how we were working to catch up on it. And he mentioned that for our facilities, that we've pretty much caught up on the maintenance that we needed to get caught up on. So that, I thought that was very encouraging and says a lot about our staff for working hard to get that caught up on. The areas that we're still behind on catching up on things for that are really involving golf equipment. And so that's another area that we have to continue to work on, to trying to get those up to where they are in the reserve study so that all of our facilities and our equipment are up to the levels that they're supposed to be, and we can keep moving forward in a positive direction. So I thought that was very encouraging and great work by the staff.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments from the directors? All right, seeing none, the Treasurer's report is filed for audit. Let's move on to the management report. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of members who have signed up to speak on the management report?
Mr. President, no one signed up to speak on the management report.
All right. Mr. Deermeyer, nothing? All right. Questions or comments by the directors on the management report? I'm sorry, Director Ruff.
Yes, I'm noticed something that our superb vice president brought up last month, and the closed out work orders by days to close is listed now in a different grouping, so you can actually see what happened. So 222 of them were done in 1 day, 86 in 2 days, and then 61 at 10 plus days. So you can see that if you average that out, it's not really telling you a whole lot. But as you see it this way, you can understand what's happening. So thanks, Mike.
Other comments? Secretary Kice?
Yeah, on the golf revenue, I thought it was really curious that on prepaid green fees, already we're down $138,000, and I was wondering if Director Radio could speak to that.
Director Kais, some of that is, we're still having it come in. So with prepaid annual memberships, we still have people that are coming in and still purchasing their memberships in January and February. And so as we keep moving forward, we keep adding that stuff, those totals into, or that revenue into the totals. Because it's a revolving thing, right? Just continuous expenditure, firstly, especially for the first couple of months.
So you don't expect that trend to continue, or?
We have seen from last year, definitely not as bad as last year where we saw a big drop off on annual membership sales. It's starting to kind of level off a little bit. Some of those people that were buying the annual memberships last year, the prepaid memberships, they're moving to surcharge, and that's why we're seeing the surcharge and the resident green fees go up this year, because they've chosen to not pay upfront for the annual memberships, and they're just going on their daily and weekly play.
Okay, thank you. And going into the IT area, tickets increased for the help desk by 47%, primarily due to TEG issues and access control requests. TEG continues to be just a thorn in our side, so it's just, I know that the technology committee is working hard on finding replacements and trying to do that, but it's just, TEG hurts us, it just does.
So
Vice President Nedesine.
with regard to where we're at, or the technology committee is at, we have over the last 6 to 8 months, and I want to call out or make a call out to member Mike Matus and member Jill, last name?
Sorry.
Okay, so we have 2 members on the technology committee. Jill comes, she is a member who is doing a lot of organization of our information, so I apologize that I don't remember her last name, but Duckett, Jill Duckett. Because both of those have been working very hard on this for us, collecting business requirements. So we are finally at the point with having collected the business requirements and have them in a spreadsheet. Our next step is to work with Director Rio to find a open source free AI requirements software writer, and that'll all be put in there. That means that when we actually go looking for the software that TEG will replace TEG or enhance TEG or complement TEG, depending how we go, the direction we go, there's not a set decision yet, we will know exactly what we want. We won't be going to somebody and saying, well, we want sort of this. We will have exactly what we need. So we're taking a very methodical approach to it. So it takes a little longer when you take that type of an approach, but it means that we'll make the right choice. So I just wanted to share that's where we're at. The minute we get those into business requirements, I know Peter has plans to move forward with that, and we will be building, the technology committee will be building a business case to put before the board for the options that are available for going forward with our IT software infrastructure. Peter Arrio, that's Director Arrio.
Okay, Director Brissett, did you have a comment?
Yes, not on TAG, though.
All right,
Director Renio, this was brought to me to give to you, okay? Down at South, it seemed the greens have brown spots running through them that look like little rivers in big spots. Could you explain that? Because a lot of people keep asking about it.
I'm back on. Director Brissett. And so earlier in the season, we did have some Pythium out there, but also this extremely warm winter. So there's actually you have rye, and you also have the Bermuda grown in there as well. So it doesn't change the playability of the golf course. It just changes the aesthetics of what it's looking like. But they've been working on that. Right now, they're trying to, I just had a meeting with the maintenance team, and they really are going to start promoting the Bermuda because it's been so warm. And so you'll probably see aesthetically, it's not going to look too good because you're going to have some of the rye might be starting to die out because of the heat. And so as that comes up and we try to push the Bermuda, you'll see some browning out there, but it's still the playability of the golf course, and the greens are still rolling fine when you're out there as well. So it's not a disease or anything like that out there. It's just, it's the maintenance team kind of fighting two grasses with the temperature allowing both of them to grow at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You might hang on to that microphone. On page 11, Eddie, there's a statement that says, as we move into late February, we will begin solid tining our putting surfaces, followed by rolling. This is simply to reduce compaction and keep oxygen, water, and nutrients available in the root zone. This will not impact day of play. And I'm confused by that statement because any sort of aerifying, at least I believe you're describing aerifying here, does impact play for a couple weeks.
No, I'm sorry, President Foster, what the maintenance team is talking about is when they're doing the solid tining, they're doing that in the mornings out of play. So all they're doing is just punching, it's not like they're pulling any cores out. Solid tining is just, they got the thin spikes and they're just spiking the greens just to open it up a little bit more to get more water penetration and a little fertilizer down into the greens and some more air as well. And then they would be doing some top dressing as well. So it's not like we do in the summertime when we're doing the full aerification where we're pulling cores out. So that will happen starting in late May, early June when we start doing our scheduling of aerification for each of the courses. But for now, the solid tining is just more, they're just spiking the greens so that we're just kind of opening it up a little bit.
Go ahead, Vice President Edison.
Would it be safe to say it's like shoving a fork in the green?
Basically, yes. So
Okay.
that's what we're doing. We're just, exactly, so, to your term right there, yeah. So we're just spiking it and opening it up a little bit, and then the rolling helps go out there and just smooth the green out after we do that. Because as you poke those spikes down, as you pull them back up, it pulls the green up a little bit with it. So we just go over there with the rollers just to make sure that this putting surface is still playable.
Okay.
On the next page, you have a breakout of some revenue sources, and in particular, there are two things. One is labeled food, and the other is labeled snacks. And as someone who believes snacks contain all the basic food groups, I wondered what the difference was between food and snacks and why we have two categories here.
Right. So the food items are the things that we sell to grill, the things that we are cooking, things that we're, the sandwiches, the burgers. So those are the meals, so to speak, whether it's breakfast or lunch or a wrap. And then the snacks are the candies and the things that we sell in the golf shop as well. So those are the difference of the snacks. Now, why they broke that up and they have it broken up that way, that was kind of given to me. So we
Okay.
can put that together and have it as one sale. But I think that's why they did it, because they also have sales in the golf shops that are separate of what they sell in the grills.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the management report? Vice President Edison.
So I just wanted to follow up. I was going to follow up when Jim spoke about the report for the facilities tickets that were done. I just want to thank you for putting that in there, because what I think it does, Mr. Ripprood, is it shows actually how fast we get things done. There is often this sense because some things linger a little longer and they become more noticeable, that we aren't turning things around in a timely fashion. And I want to thank you for providing that information so that the members can see that, in fact, your team is turning things around in a very timely fashion. So thank you.
Thank you, Director Nedesheim.
Director Brissett? I'll tell you, we're going to save this tape for sure.
Okay, I want to go along with that with Mr. Ripperud. Could you give us a quick briefing on Bell and how quickly that's going to be finished up and ready for use?
You're referring to the pool?
The pool, I'm sorry, referring to the pool area.
The pool area is going to, it's scheduled to open on Monday. So I think we're on track to that. I'm looking at Mr. Deermeyer because there's one component that the chairs, new chairs, might all not be in, but they're going to put in some of the older chairs. But it's going to be Monday.
Okay, because I know the load on the other facilities is pretty heavy when everybody from Bell goes down there.
Yeah.
It changes a lot.
No, it looks good. I think you guys will be pleased.
And I think Mr. Whitford said the chair problem was a back order from the manufacturer, not something that we caused. But
That's right.
he's ready to talk.
Mr. Deermeyer?
Yeah, they had a manufacturing issue with the chairs, so we're short 25 Chase lounges coming Saturday. So some of the old furniture will be put out, so there's plenty of furniture for everybody. And part of the overcrowding of the Lakeview pool, if you've seen it this week, I apologize. It's supposed to be 70, not 85. That's why we were doing our pool maintenance now. We had 2 pools down. We didn't want to do that, but the Bell was a longer pool down because of the redoing of the deck, and the deck looks phenomenal. The shower's moving, looks great. So we're excited to hopefully have that pool open next week, but Marinette will be open Monday no matter what. Their cleaning is on schedule.
Okay, thank you. Others? All right, let's move on then to committee and liaison reports. Do any directors have any comments? Treasurer Gray.
Thank you. If anybody is interested in digital scrapbooking, the Sun City Museum is going to be offering some classes on that. So if you want to contact them, again, I think they've got a certain level of expertise when it comes to digital scrapbooking. So they're going to share that with members in our community. So contact them if you're interested.
Secretary Keiss.
Yes, as the liaison to the Sun City Fire Department, I was at their meeting earlier this week along with Director Brissett. And their calls are down on non-medical related calls are down about 700 from last year. And I was asking them, okay, so do you think this is a result of people being reluctant to call because they're concerned about incurring a fee? And they said, well, that could be part of it. But they also think that they get calls for things like, the remote on my TV is not working well, people call the fire department. Or my microwave isn't functioning right, so they call the fire department. So he thinks that's also as a result of people being a little bit more judicious in maybe not making calls they would have that aren't medical or fire related. So there could be a few factors in that.
At the end. Yeah. Okay. Does that, oh, wow, this is a watershed day for Director Brissett.
Thank you, President Foster. It's my second year, I can do it. Okay, I'm the chair for the Properties Committee, and there's quarterly inspections done on everything here in Sun City, okay, from the golf courses to the swimming pools to everything. And we have, membership go out and do these inspections. There's 3 a year you would do. Currently, I need 2 more inspectors, okay, and it would be greatly appreciated if somebody could spend some time. It may take a couple hours, but it's only like 3 times a year you have to go out and do it. And you go along with the facility coordinators, with other people, and the idea is to get a different set of eyes on what you see, and the people who work there every day do a great job, but they might miss something that you wonder why it's there, or what's broken, or what's cracked, or, any questions you could come up with. So if anybody's interested, please send me a text or send me an email, and I'd love to talk to you and see if I can get you set up. We're kind of looking for Lakes East and Willowbrook area, Willow Creek out there. So if you live in that area and you'd like to, please let me know. Thank you.
Director Mapes.
I do speak every once in a while. I just want to remind all the presidents of all the clubs that we do have the president's meeting here at Sundial. It's Tuesday, March 3rd at 9 a.m. We're going to have 2 speakers, one of which is the one that Director Gray talked about for the scrapbooking online. She's going to be showing and giving us a presentation as to what's going to happen. Also, we're going to have safety and compliance there, giving us all their updates of what's expected out of clubs. So it's a really good meeting to come to. We've got a few clubs that don't have their rules and regulations done. We would really like to have them show up so we can get together with them so we can get those done. Thank you.
Vice President Nettesheim.
Okay, so let me start with my committees, and then I'll go on to my liaison work. For the Tech Committee, we are looking to add to the Technology Committee, particularly as we move forward this year, people with project management skills, where they have perhaps worked on organizing projects, whatever, to help decide on software solutions. We're also looking for people who might have database specialist skills. For the Technology Committee, we welcome all people with a technology background, but those are the 2 skill sets we're looking for specifically that might help us with some of the work we've got in front of us as we build the business case. For the OCC, on the Outreach and Communications Committee, we are always looking for members for the OCC, but we're looking specifically this year for some digital communication specialists, people who have been in the digital communication space. And by that, I mean not just email, but texting and social media and how you use the trends and the marketing tools that are in social media to help get our messages out and reach our members. I'd also like to say something about the Friends of the Library. Unfortunately, I was not at their meeting this month because I was not well, and I apologize for that. But they are always doing wonderful work. They have the bookstore. They are totally supportive of our libraries, and they reinvest all of the monies that they get from the bookstore back into our libraries and our programming. So part of the reason we have such wonderful programming here is directly related to the Friends of the Library. So I encourage you to frequent their bookstore, and if you're not aware of who they are, you can actually just Google them, and it outlines who they are. They're an amazing group. The other thing I wanted to do was to do what's kind of like a public service announcement for SHOA, in the sense that on 3/6 from 9 to 11, we're doing the Sun City orientation. Lisa Gray, Sue Clark, or somebody from COA and myself will be doing the orientation here at Sundial. Once again, that's March 6th from 9 to 11. So if you're new or you just want to learn a little bit more about Sun City and all the different parts, please come. On 3/13 at 8:30 a.m., we are doing a Sun City Community Safety Town Hall. Debbie Lesko will be here with Sheriff Jerry Sheridan and County Attorney Rachel Mitchell. And they will be talking about things like homeless, the challenges we face with some of our homeless situations, some of the social issues that we're facing today. They're going to be here for that. It's an open, from my understanding, it's an open forum, a back and forth with Debbie and her group that are coming. I strongly encourage everybody to come, and it is a District 4 event. So if you wanted to, if you know friends in Sun City West, please, this is something that SHOA has helped us bring to our community, so we have access. And then the third one is on 3/27 from 7 to 12-ish. SHOA is holding their day of service. Their day of service is where they go to homes and help clean up their yards and things like that. And if you're interested in any of that, go to the SHOA website, and SHOA has all the information there. So those are the things I wanted to share with the community, to know that these are the outreach pieces that SHOA and RCSC are doing. SHOA sometimes independently, sometimes together with RCSC. So thank you.
All right. Any further? Treasurer Gray?
Yeah, I just wanted to put a little add-on that our liaison for SHOA, Director Mapes, has already recruited board members to do the day of service. So feel free to join some of us on the board out there pulling weeds and cleaning up houses and adding to the beauty of our community. So it's a good service. There's a lot of people that have needs that can't afford to get this done. And it's a way for all of us to reach out and help our neighbors.
Awesome, thank you. Have we touched all of those issues? Okay. Next item is president comments. I really only have one item I wanted to bring to your attention, and that is, as you notice, we're still a board of 7 members instead of 9. But we have received numerous resumes and requests from individuals who wish to perhaps serve on the board for the remainder of 2026. And we are going to interview each and every one of those individuals who has expressed an interest between now and the end of this week. Hopefully then shortly thereafter, we'll be able to make some decisions, and by the March meeting, this time next month, we would be introducing to you the individuals who will fill out the rest of the board for 2026. Okay. Let's move on. Committee recommendations. Next item of business then is a recommendation from Gulf Advisory. Secretary Keiss, would you please read your motion?
Based on the unanimous recommendation of the Gulf Advisory Committee, I move to approve $2.7 million to fund the North Gulf Course Water Reduction and Renovation Project.
We do not need a second for that because it's a committee recommendation. Secretary Keiss, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I would. The board has previously approved funds to hire a design team to design plans for the North Course to install tough Bermuda grass on the back 9 fairways that's similar to the grass previously installed on the front 9, replace about 20 acres of currently watered grass with desert landscaping, and renovate or remove sand traps throughout the course to improve safety and make the traps more playable for senior golfers. Gary Brawley Golf Design was selected to design the renovations and assist in the bid process to select firms to complete this project. After the design phase was complete, a statement of work and the proposed bunker plan were sent out to 6 construction companies and 2 turf removal companies. 3 construction companies and 1 turf company came to a pre-bid meeting at the North Golf Course. RCSC received bids from both turf removal companies, but only 1 bid for the course renovation. Of the construction companies that were sent statements of work, Wadsworth and National Turf could not do the project due to other commitments. Golf Works also was sent a statement, but they're a new company and were not able to bond the project. PTI Golf and Payson Golf did not submit bids. Only Landscapes Unlimited submitted a bid for the bunker portion of the project. They were part of the Quail Run renovation project and have worked with Mr. Brawley previously. Siteworks and Custom Desert Landscape submitted bids for the turf removal and desert landscaping. Siteworks was the lowest bid by around $72,000 for turf removal and desert landscaping, but they're a new company and there were not a lot of projects available to assess the quality of their work, although Mr. Brawley and Director of Golf Renio are familiar with their site manager from previous projects in another company. Custom Desert Landscaping was used for the Quail Run Golf Course, has a much larger volume of work to assess, and has been in business for many years. Mr. Renio recommends we select Custom Desert Landscaping for the turf removal and landscaping portion of the project because of the small price difference between the companies and a greater confidence they will do the quality work on the course that we require. By approving the funds to complete this project, we will continue to make progress towards our water reduction usage levels mandated by the Arizona Department of Water Resources, make the bunkers on the north course safer for senior golfers, reduce our maintenance costs by removing 13 bunkers from play, and make the course more playable for our members. We're requesting $2.7 million instead of the $2.61 million on the business case to round the numbers up and to provide a little bit more contingency dollars. To help answer your questions, Mr. Brawley is here with us today. I would like to thank him for taking time out of his business schedule to meet with us.
Okay, thank you. All right. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of any individuals who have signed up to speak on this motion?
Johnny Portillo.
Do I state my name and rec number?
And your member number.
Yes,
Tom.
please.
Johnny Portillo, 12852. I'd like to thank the board for your time. It's a thankful position, and we really appreciate everything that everyone does. I'm here on behalf of the North Golf Course. We have the ladies group and men's group also in attendance. We're just here to convey our support for this renovation that Preston has spoke about. We've worked a lot of years trying to get these bunkers up to USGA standards with the linings, but now even the safety issue for our senior golfers. And now it's all coming into play really nice for the water reduction to include with the renovation. As you're aware, the water reduction is going to take place throughout all the courses. North being a 20-acre parcel there, pretty small. I think it'd be a good, project that's going to see how this folds out. That's going to eventually happen with all the other courses. So with, hopefully the approval goes through, because really North, it will be one of the optimum courses in Sun City. We look forward to if this possibly goes through. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Andre Casabon.
Andre Casabone, 153000. I'm also the secretary of the SCMGA, and I am part of the North Men's Day. I approve of this motion. Again, reiterating what Mr. Kais said and what Johnny said, the bunker renovation is important for the safety of our players. It'll also make better playability and hopefully increase the speed of play. The turf reduction, obviously AWVR is very important for all of us. And that's definitely going to be a help. The turf replacement, to have the playability of the front nine and the back nine being the same, because obviously those of you, I know Tom plays golf, so does Preston, so does John. There's a big difference playing the front nine and the back nine because the grass is totally different. So with that being the same, that's really going to help. And obviously the Tiff Tuff takes 1/3 less water. And one last thing that I'd like to say, I got to see the schematics of everything that they're going to do, and Gary Brawley did a wonderful job on seeing all of the things that he's planning to do for the course. There is one important thing here, and I know it's not an easy one for the board. Possibly consider waiving the second reading, as this would help to secure the work crews that Gary wants to bring in and Eddie wants to bring in. The sooner that they know that they're going to have this work, the better off we are going to be here to get the crews that we want to have here. And like Johnny said, this has been in the works for a few years already. So, thank you.
Bob Massow? Okay. Mr. President, everybody spoke that had signed up to speak on this motion.
Nothing on live stream. Okay, so questions from the directors, the board. I'm sorry. Oh, I looked right past you. I'm so sorry. Vice President Nedesine.
So, a statement and then a question. I am always concerned whenever I hear anything about safety, especially for our members. So my biggest concern about those bunkers out there is when I hear that we have members who can't climb out of a bunker. That in and of itself is nobody needs to be doing rock climbing to get out of a bunker, right? And I know that's not the case, but the point I'm making is we need to make sure that this is a safe environment for all of our members to golf in. So that's always important to me. I do have a question about the desert landscaping. So at Willow, I understand, and I'm not a golfer, so you have to bear with me here, but I understand we have a tad too much desert landscaping, greenery or foliage or whatever we call it. There's a tad too much at Willow, and I understand from Quail we have a little bit too little that we, particularly the people that live along Quail would like to see a little bit more foliage and greenery than they currently see. So, and we're working through that. I thank Director Renio for trying to work through that and resolve some of those challenges that we're having. How have we, in this particular project, how have we addressed that to we get to the Goldilocks just right bed?
Yeah, Mr. Brawley, if you would like to step up. As a, I guess, special guest, so you don't have a rec number, but you do have a name, so.
And we won't put you on a timer.
No, that's all right. My name's Gary Brawley, golf course architect, consultant for the rec centers. To answer your question is, we understand those balances, and this is, a little bit less than what we did at Willow Creek, but obviously, there's not much at Quail, and there never was. So the Quail responses, there's never been much plant material there anyways. So, but at Willow Creek, yeah, we're going to be a little bit less. The funny thing is, when we did Willow Creek, we got complaints that we didn't plant enough, and now we're hearing, as that stuff matures, it gets bigger and that. So, we're trying to make a conscious effort when we put together these plans. And I work with a licensed landscape architect who does all my plans for me, and we're trying to make sure that every home has plants behind it. To some scale, that we're cognizant of views from their lots to the golf course. So there's things like that. So we're trying to figure out that balance. It's all money too, right? So we're trying to utilize everything on there as low water use. So we have to follow the ADWR low water use plant list, which we do. So that's part of your conservation agreement for your water use. So we have to follow their plant list. We try to do the low growing, low maintenance types of materials so that the maintenance staffs don't have excessive amounts of additional labor to maintain those. So we're using the compact varieties of the sage so that it's not 6 feet tall, it stays down at 3, so it doesn't have to constantly be trimmed and stuff.
Right, so I do appreciate at Quail we didn't have like bushes and stuff, but they had green.
Right.
And now they have brown.
Right.
So, I recognize their concerns.
Yeah,
I
and
really do.
I've been helping Mr. Rainio.
Right, I know
address
that we're working on that.
Yeah.
I don't want that to be the topic. I was just using it as a comparison. One has a tad too much, it eats our golf balls. The other doesn't have anything to eat our golf balls. So, I was just wanting to make sure we really had this in mind as we move forward with North to try and get to that Goldilocks just right place.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And it should be noted, one of the concerns from people at Quail Run were the number of trees that died during it. And there are a large number of trees that are in the bid to be replaced and put onto the North Golf Course to help make sure that doesn't happen. and some of the trees that are dying out. There's eucalyptus trees that really should never have been planted in the first place. So there are a number of trees that are going to be replaced and put onto the golf course as part of this.
And Mr. Kais, I'm seeing that across the state. I mean, I'm not only working for the rec centers, I do this a lot of other properties, and we're seeing a lot of stress put on these existing plant material that are there when we're taking out turf. I've expressed that expressively to ADWR that we are losing a lot of plant material. I mean, we're putting drip irrigation, we're putting irrigation to all these existing plant materials, and they're just not surviving. So I've expressed that to ADWR that there's a result of what their mandate is to these golf courses that are having to take out all this turf and, to the existing vegetation. We're just changing the dynamic underneath those trees. But we have included some trees in our budget, in that plan to put out there. They're kind of in our pocket, so we can kind of put them wherever we need them, as we kind of go through, and if there's things that are dying and need to be addressed, we'll take care of that.
So do the trees that we have in the desert that can survive the heat, do they not have deep tap roots?
No, the problem is the plant material that you have that's existing with its water always being available on the surface because it was getting irrigated in the summertime every night, the roots don't need to go deep, right? Because the water was always available to them on the surface. But it created, as we brought in an arborist to look at some of these things and talk to us about it, it's changes too with having turf versus DG underneath it. Just the environment that watering creates for the tree that's been there for 70 years. North is your oldest golf course, and so those trees have been there a while. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Director Brissett.
Mr. Brawley, you work across Arizona on a lot of different golf courses, correct?
yes, sir.
About how much water do all these golf courses across Arizona use compared to what other industries use?
Yeah, so in Arizona, all the golf courses, we use less than 2% of the state's water. This is documented resource, from the Department of Water Resources. Golf courses, we're great stewards of it, but we get a bad rap. We get a bad perception of, we're poor users of water. They could cut out all the water to golf courses and not make a dent into the state water deficit, at less than 2% of what we use. So it's a battle. This year is going to be a big battle with everything that's on stake for the Colorado River. We've already just bypassed one of the first deadlines in the state this year with no resolution. So now we're waiting for the 7 states to come together to try to determine the rights and the use of the Colorado River water.
Thank you.
And I think it should be noted that Mr. Brawley's just been elected as president of the Golf Course Architects Association of the United States. So we're very fortunate to have someone of his stature working on our courses. We're blessed with that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Or condolences, whichever way that goes. So maybe a couple things yet, and I don't know who might feel best to answer this, but we'll start with you, sir, and see whether or not. First of all, alternatives. At one time, as this project was being envisioned, there were going to be 10 bunkers that we looked at, and then it was 16 or 17, and now it's nearly every bunker is going to have some sort of addressed work here. And I wonder if you could discuss the economics of doing it all at one time vis-a-vis spreading that out over a couple periods, and why you feel that just, rip the Band-Aid off kind of approach is better than spreading this out over a couple of years. And then the other issue is the bidders. That it sounded like from what Secretary Kais read in his support for the motion, that there were a number of folks very interested in doing this project who fell away because of the timing of how we wanted to try to get started. And was there some economics going on here about do it now versus do it next season when more bidders might show up and we might get different pricing. But was that considered as that eventually the recommendation of do it now was more effective than waiting?
Okay, yeah, President Foster, I can answer that. So I started this whole process by playing with the men's group and the ladies group. So I played with your members to talk about the bunkers. We played, I played with each group separately. So we were able to talk about bunkers, what they were hearing, from their different groups about what we wanted to do with bunkers. And so I took that into back to my office as we started looking at it, and there was a lot of comments about bunkers and taking them out. When they redid these bunkers, 15 years ago, there was a different directive, to do those, right? It was about trying to draw more public play in, so the eye candy, let's call it, of the bunker line. So, when you start looking at all the big picture of not just bunkers for, raising them up, to provide better access into them, but you start looking at maintenance aspects of them and the efforts that are going on at, for maintenance efficiencies to mow the edges of them. Those bunkers are very maintenance intensive, for the edging, a lot of handwork, and we're trying to get rid of all of that back to more like what we've done on Quail and Willow Creek. So it just kind of started to go. I'm always one, and I believe, Mr. Inyo, that it was about time to replace all the sand anyways, on those bunkers per your long-term maintenance of those. So it was kind of well, if we're doing all that, now's the time. So when I put the bids out, I didn't know who's bidding it, right? So I don't know how many bidders are going to actually submit bids. So, I invited 6 companies that I've worked with. The golf business is good right now. So there's a lot of demand on these guys' time. So we're bidding stuff right now for 27, 28. So the bigger jobs, when I'm talking about bidding jobs, we're talking about the bigger, massive full golf course renovation, big irrigation systems. We're already getting bids for 27 and starting to work on drawings for 28. And that's how far out. We don't have a lot of companies that are qualified to do this type of work. There's only like 6 or 7 companies in Arizona that have the experience to do the work that you're requiring a contractor to do. So, we don't have a wide, demographic of golf course contractors that are specialized in doing this. So the 7 or 6 that we invited, all could have done the job, and I would have had no problem recommending any of them for the work. It just happened to be that Landscapes Unlimited did the Quail Run job, did a great job for you. We came in on time and under budget, and they've worked with you closely to resolve some of the manufacturing issues recently and got that all done timely for you. And they're also coming off a job that I'm working on right now out of state, and that same bunker crew is planned to come here if they get that work. So that's they were kind of seeing that as being a good opportunity to just move those guys right from that project over here to keep working with me, because there's some good synergy amongst those. So, and then back to falling back a little bit now to the first question. It's always better to close the golf course once. We've got to close the back 9 for the turf conversion. Part of that, so that had already been in your operations. So it just makes sense to just get it done and not have to displace your golfers multiple times.
Lose the revenue. Mr. Brawley, is there going to be a risk of losing that bunker team that you're talking about if we delay making a decision on this?
There could be. I heard a comment previously about, to not do the second reading, which I understand is policies here. There could be. I mean, we're at 90 days right now for their bid. They bid this back in December. So, we're kind of at that edge of needing to get those guys. So it's kind of a threefold process. You have the turf conversion of the fairways, which we're already set up to do. Evergreen Turf, which is the local grower of the grass, actually is the same people that plant it, even if you had a golf course contractor. So we're already set on that portion. The bunker portion is what's out to bid. The landscape portion, or the 20 acres of turf conversion along the perimeter to put landscape in, that's probably going to be a July, but both of those contractors, are still available. So it's really the bunker piece of that.
All right. Director Brissett.
Thank you. Mr. Brawley, I understood in one of our meetings, we want to do this all at once because I believe there's a pretty good cost just to bring the equipment in every time. Could you explain that just a little, please?
Yeah, so it's moving guys in, it's moving the equipment in, it's, having the guys here. Once we get going, we become very efficient. But it takes us, a few weeks in the construction side of it to get to that point of becoming efficient. It's like the train. The train just starts going really slow, but once it gets up to speed, we can move. Well, if you have to do that twice, that it's not just the mobilization, it's the efficiencies, of just kind of rolling over. Because the guys that are going to be in there removing the sand and the liner and fixing all the bunkers are not the same guys putting the sand in and doing the drainage. That crew's coming, there's 2 or 3 small crews amongst the whole crew, and they kind of just work through it like a snake. And but it takes us time to get going on that.
I believe at one time you had made a comment there was about $200,000 to get it started.
Yeah,
Bring in the
I don't know
equipment.
what that number was exactly. But
Okay.
it's
Does that sound
not
about right?
cheap, right? Because it's all the housing and insurance and all that.
Okay.
Vice President Nedesine.
So based on that, it would be safe to say that part of any contract we do for the golf courses has a component that's part of the bid that is related to the movement of equipment and setting everything up. So if we have 2 contracts, we pay twice versus 1 contract where we pay that upfront, call it admin costs, whatever you
Correct.
want to call it,
Yep.
you pay that as a standard part of the contract.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay. We talked about live stream. All right. Motion before you then is to approve $2.7 million to fund the North Golf Course renovation project. Are we prepared to take that vote? All right. Secretary Kais, would you please take the roll call vote?
Director Brissett,
Yes.
Director Mapes,
Yes.
Director Ruff,
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Gray,
Yes.
Vice President Edisheim,
Yes.
President Foster, sorry, sir.
Sometimes being demoted has benefits, but in this case, I vote yes.
Sir, we have 7 yes votes. I'm having a good day, folks. We have 7 yes votes and 0 no votes.
Okay. So a motion passes its first reading. All right, then let's move forward. The next item of business is committee recommendation.
Mr. President, can we have a moment?
Okay.
I would like to go back to Mr. Brawley. Are we in danger of losing that crew if we don't take the second vote? We wait until next month to make the second vote on this motion?
Okay, hearing that, is there reconsideration by members of the board to consider at this time waiving the second reading?
Mr. President,
Director Brissett.
I would make a motion that we waive the second reading on this due to the fact we will lose the possible capability of getting started on time, getting it done within the time frame, and getting the personnel we need here to get here quickly enough.
Is there a second? I'll second. Is there any further discussion from board members regarding the motion to waive the second reading? Seeing none, Secretary Kais, would you take a roll call vote to waive the second reading on this motion?
Director Brissett,
Yes.
Director Mapes,
Yes.
Director Ruff,
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Treasurer Gray,
That's not right. No. You don't get to do that.
I vote yes. I hate doing that. Treasurer Gray,
I vote yes, and that's why I seconded it.
Vice President Nedesheim,
Yes.
President Foster.
Well, I share your reluctance, Secretary Keiss, but I will vote yes in order to move forward on a project that has significant support from the membership.
So we have 7 yes votes and 0 no votes to waive the second reading.
All right. Next item of business. We want to, okay. You're welcome, sir. All right, next item of business is a committee recommendation from Outreach and Communications. And this has to deal with the marquee signs outside of our various facilities. Vice President Nedesheim, would you please read your motion?
Based on, I gotta put this up here, based on the recommendation of the Outreach and Communications Committee with the support of the Technology Committee and RCSC Management, I move that the RCSC fund the replacement of 8 marquee screens and relevant electronics each year over the course of 3 years from the SIF funds as prioritized by RCSC Management. Subsequent replacements will be planned in the annual reserve study. The proposed cost for the 2026 year will be $250,000 with a planned 10% increase year over year for a project total of $827,000.
All right, no second is needed since this is a recommendation from a committee. Vice President Nedesheim, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first?
Yes, I would like to. So last March, almost a whole year, we presented a motion from both OCC and Technology for the marquees to ask to be considered for the budget for 2026. We did not make it into the budget for 2026. However, since then, our marquees have deteriorated. There are more often than not dark. Mr. Dermeyer and our employees are doing the best they can to keep them up and running. But the simple fact is that they have reached their end of life, and they're telling us that they've reached their end of life. So they're just not working, and they are a detriment to the aesthetics and beautification of our community. They're a detriment to our ability to communicate with members of our community. And they are a detriment from a marketing perspective where we would want people to come in and buy in our community. And I say that because 2 of them that don't work a lot of times are at Bell. That's where the visitor center, the welcome center, whatever you call it is. That's where it's at. That's where the realtors tend to take people into that facility. And they're dark. And what does that say to prospective buyers? You know, if I was a prospective buyer coming here, and I can only speak for myself, and I saw those screens were dark, I would question how viable is this community? Because it seems like a basic maintenance item, right? When we originally put the marquees in, they put them in the reserve study at 25 years, and I think that was just a lack of understanding. Yes, the stone marquee itself will last 25 years. No piece of electronic out in the heat is going to last for 25 years. It's just not. But that was a lack of understanding on the part of when they were originally put in. Now we're suggesting that they be put in on a 7-year rotation, which is basically the warranty for the screens. We have 7-year warranties for those screens, so my opinion, when it comes to electronics, they warranty it as long as they expect it to live, and if you get a little bit more than that, then we're lucky. So it's a very simple way for us to communicate. I know people talk about it's only 10 seconds, But we drive past all of these on a regular basis, and people do look. And the new ones, the new marquee signs, will allow us to schedule things. So for a whole year, RCSC management can schedule everything we do for a whole year, and it can be different on different marquees. So we can schedule Sundial for everything that's happening here, but we can schedule Sun Bowl for what they're doing and Marinette for what they're doing. And the clubs who have traditionally used this most often to communicate their events would have that option back. Right now, they have lost that option to be able to promote their events. So I strongly support this option. We chose to go with over 3 years for the simple reason that we did not want to negatively impact the budget in a way that would make it burdensome in 1 year to do this. And we understand that it's going to take us 3 years, but we're making the right steps. And to be able to do this for this year specifically, there are projects that are being looked at that would be pushed out into 2027. But those projects have been determined, I believe, Rebecca, there's 3 or 4 projects we looked at, right, for this? Right. Right, so maybe 1 or 2 projects at the discretion of management that will look at them and say, okay, these ones truly can wait until next year because this has a greater priority. So we have looked at the budget. We have looked at a way of not negatively impacting the budget by just delaying something that would be considered in the reserve study, but not necessarily something that would be a detriment to our members and something that our members would be concerned about us not doing this year. So I asked my fellow board members to vote for this. I know many people think it's just a sign, but it's more than just a sign. It says something about us. It says something about how we feel about ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of any members who have signed up to speak on this particular motion?
Mr. President, no one signed up to speak on this motion.
Okay. Nothing on live stream, all right? Discussion by the directors. Director Brissett, I am just amazed.
Well done, you.
Go for it. Okay.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I can see we should have updated equipment and all, and I'm not against it. I guess my biggest point is we have a lot of very talented people here in Sun City. And has there been any thought given to what can we do with the current marquees as we take them down? Because they're built in a very solid frame and a nice frame, and they could possibly be reused somewhere else. Has that been given any consideration?
We would not be taking the marquees down. We would
Just the
be putting
inside.
new guts in them.
Okay,
New electronics.
Okay, I didn't quite understand for sure. I thought you were wanting to replace the whole marquee.
No. The actual stone and concrete and stucco will stand there, but it will have new insights, new technology, which aligns with where our director of IT is going with regard to RCSC as a whole from a technology perspective as
Okay,
well.
the way it worded, I wasn't quite clear. Thank you.
I apologize for that.
No problem.
Secretary Keiss.
I have a couple of questions. Do we know what projects are going to be might be pushed to next year to be able to get the funds to do this? Because I think that's a valid question to ask so that the members know what was scheduled to do that might not get done instead of this.
Mr. Whipper.
Mr. President and Director Kais, we submitted a list quite a while ago. It was a short list, like 3 or 4 projects. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I can resurrect it now. Because nothing was happening at that time, we might have launched one of those projects already, so we might have to come up with something else. But I think it's fair to say that we can figure out something, a project to delay or defer we're also running ahead on a positive variance on the projects we've completed so far this year, which is always a good sign.
And I guess my other question is, why this project as opposed to something like the master plan that members have talked about extensively?
So this project versus the master plan. One is the cost, is $250,000, but I understand what you're saying. The master plan is something that we would look at to plan for the future. This is something that we are looking at to improve the present. And when we look at how this impacts the members specifically, this provides immediate information to the members. So that's my rationale behind it. And that's not to say I'm for or against a master plan. What I'm saying is I think this is important that we promote it ahead of other projects. And then I know Rebecca has some ideas as well, if you're okay with speaking, Rebecca, or not. I don't want to put you on the spot because we had not talked about that.
I think you just did put her on the spot.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. Vice President Nedesheim, Board, thank you. Sorry, I'm not sure where you wanted me to go because I wasn't prepared for this, but I do believe that the master plan is valuable and important, but also I believe that replacing the signage is going to be important, as Vice President Nedesheim has shared about who we say we are to the community, our marketing efforts, consistently through committees, through the board, through members in clubs, and just as I get out into the community, everybody is very passionate about communication and very passionate about marketing. And I actually think that the 3-year plan might be a good solution. Originally, when we discussed it, we talked about trying to replace them all at the same time, which would have delayed for 3 or 4 projects. And in this case, it may delay 1 or 2, as you've mentioned. So it gives us an opportunity, and as I've shared, that moving the community forward and elevating what we do is a marathon and not a sprint. And so this is a good opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. And I agree that it is very forward-facing. And so I think that's an important asset or an important thing to consider when moving forward with this vote.
Other comments? I would, and I wish Mr. McCurdy was here, because there is an accounting issue now that you've kind of raised the specter of the master plan, that the external auditor has given us some directive, thou shalt kind of directives, as far as how that can be accounted for and from which funds you can pay for that particular study. And there's no reason to go through all of the rationale for that here, but basically, at the end of the day, the master plan would be something very similar to this project in the sense that it would likely be on the installment plan, and it would have to come from the same bucket of money. So when we look at that, and when we look at what we call the 5-year plan group, who is meeting contemporaneously this time of year, looking out for 5 years, but part of what they will come forward with that will eventually end up at Finance, Budget, and Audit Committee is that capital project list that comes out of the reserve study that ends up in, I know this is like, is it lunchtime already? You know, you don't want to necessarily hear all this, but it eventually ends up in what will be proposed for the 2027 budget this fall. And there will be competition for funds. So I guess it would appear to me that if we take a vote here and that this is approved, that kind of gives this project some priority to other projects that don't have a board vote approving or in some way earmarking funds going forward. There would just be all the other funds compete, or all the other projects competing for the remaining available funds, and some will get approved and some will not. So I guess going forward, that would be what I would see probably happening here, is that when that plan is drawn up by the 5-year planning group that eventually gets to finance, budget, and audit, that eventually gets to the board, that there might be some earmarking in that for marquees that other projects would not have. So I don't know if there's any other comments or concerns about that from board members.
I have a follow-up question.
Okay, go ahead, please.
So we have gotten new information from our auditors that we can use SIF funds for the master plan. I was under the impression we had to use operations money.
I am so sorry. Thank you for correcting me on that. It is not a depreciable asset. It has to be operating funds. So there are different buckets. Okay.
So it comes from two different buckets of money.
It
This is
does.
not money we could use for the master plan anyway.
It would not have competed with the same bucket of funds. I apologize. I was in the wrong bucket of funds there. So please disregard all of those comments. But they were really nice comments, but they were wrong. So,
Alan, can you just erase that whole bit?
okay. So moving forward, any other comments or concerns about
I just have a
Treasurer
que-
Gray?
Yeah, I have a question, because it looks like we're looking at a $250,000 commitment for next year. But then it says a plan,
250 this year,
This year?
10% more next year to plan for inflation. Right now, we have a quote that's around 785, I believe. I'd have to pull it up on my phone, for if we did it all at once. So 250 this year, what we wanted to do was build in inflation. However, because this is electronics, it's entirely possible to go the other direction. But we wanted to make sure that we didn't have to come back to the board and say, oops, we underestimated, and now it's $35,000 more in year 3. So the idea is to get them as inexpensive as possible, but to make sure we had the right budget in place over the course of 3 years, because we don't normally do things over 3 years.
okay, and that's where my question comes in. So this decision is actually a 3-year commitment
Yes.
with a 10% increase each year?
Correct.
Okay.
So that part of my earlier comments, I think, at least that part was correct. That there would be some earmarking of funds in the reserve study, if you will, or the SIF fund bucket for this project, and other projects then are would likely have to be deferred. Yes.
And it would be the same as any other big project we do, where like Mountain View's over so many years, the golf course renovation for South is proposed, and I know those are PIF funds, but it would be similar to that. It would be, we would budget, this is how much we do. And then they go into the reserve study, and we no longer ever have to talk about them again, because they're a natural part of what we do.
We'll cross that bridge later. Go ahead, Director Ruff.
I support going forward with this. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So what we're talking about is $250,000 from the current budget, and then a second in 27, and the third would be the 28.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns about this proposal? All right, so are we prepared? Treasurer Gray?
Yeah, I'll just say, for me, as I was going through that, I understand the value of the signs. I do have some concerns about the extending this out. I think the only thing that makes me feel a little bit better is the support from the staff and our general manager to accept this. So I think that's, for me, a little bit of a safety net. And because again, I think as a board, we have to make financial decisions, but it's really important to have our general manager and our staff that understand the financial dynamics. If they're supportive, that makes me feel a little bit better that I'm not missing something. So again, just my little caveat on this particular vote.
Okay. Any additional comments, concerns, issues? Are we ready then to proceed with the vote? All right, Secretary Keiss, would you please take the roll call vote?
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Gray.
Yes.
Vice President Nittisheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
Sir, we have 7 yes votes and 0 no votes.
Thank you, sir. So it passes its first reading. Mr. President? Yes, sir.
Before we go to the next vote, I just want to make one clarification, because on our first vote, we had some golfers that went out and thanked us for passing that motion for the golf course. And I just want to make it clear to everybody in our community that, as far as I'm concerned, and full disclosure, I'm not a golfer, but as far as I'm concerned, we didn't do that just for the golfers. We did that or I did that, I'm assuming we all have that same viewpoint, we did it for our community. So again, I just want to make that clarification, because sometimes we get so many people that talk about, oh, you're listening to this group and you're listening to that group, and as if we're just only listening to the people that might be advocating for that. When we make decisions based for the whole community. And so again, I should have done that right after that, but we went into the second reading or the next motion. But I do think we need to make that clear that, and again, even the people I know on our board that are golfers, I have full confidence, because I know them well enough after dealing with them for over a year, that their mindset is the same as mine, is what's good for the whole community. And so again, I think that clarification needs to be made, so thank you for the time.
And I thank you, sir. I would echo in the sense that, golf is just another amenity. It's a swimming pool, it's a fitness center, it's a rec building, it's all of the things that we try to offer here, that everyone is kicking in something in their annual assessments to try and support for the benefit of all of us, so that home prices, our home values remain stable or increase. So even though that vote and this vote here on marquees may not seem like that helps you, but it helps everybody. And that's the intent, to move forward with issues and programs that benefit the community as a whole, so that all of us end up in a, not only just a better community to live and work and play in, but it's one that sells to the outside world. Okay, are we ready to move on to the next issue? Okay. If I haven't lost my place, then the next item of business is a grant to the Sun City Posse. Director Brissett, would you please read your motion?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve $4,000 to be paid to the Sun City Posse for their continued support with event parking and other services in 2026.
No second is needed on a second reading. Director Brissett, as maker of the motion, do you wish to speak first for its adoption?
Yes, sir. When I first brought this up last month, I had a real nice long list of everything they did. somebody stole it, okay? So,
How does the posse not?
I don't know. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through a couple off the top of my head, but they do a lot. They really do. And everybody sees them around all the time, and everybody thinks, oh, great, you know, they're there, they're happy. Their vacation watch covers thousands of houses a year, thousands, okay? I'm not talking about a few. They're down at the Sun Bowl, which I think opens up pretty soon, Mr. Diermeyer, that next weekend? The 8th? The 8th, that comes on the 8th. They'll be down there helping out. They go anytime there's a fire or there's a call, they show up and they sit there, and their purpose is to watch that equipment. But believe it or not, people will run into that equipment, steal what they can, and take off. So they're saving the fire department and helping MCSO with their equipment too. It doesn't seem like a lot, but it is. They did the Christmas parade. They were out there trying to help get traffic, get us through. The Shredathon, I don't know how many people take all your things you want to get rid of, they drop it off there, and they take care of all the things you want to get rid of. So those are just a few of them that came up, you know, in my mind real quickly here. But they do a lot for this community, and full disclosure, I was on the posse for 5 years, and I think it's a great organization, and I think this is a little bit we can do to help them out. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Johnson, would you please read the names of members who have signed up to speak on this particular motion?
Mr. President, no one signed up to speak on this motion.
Okay. Mr. Diermeyer, nothing on live stream. All right. Discussion by the directors. Full disclosure, Mr. Brissett, I led that golf car parade, and we made no wrong turns. And we got 170-some golf cars where they were supposed to go. Although there were a few folks who stopped to, well, they were worried about their hydration issues. And so there were a couple of breaks in the groups, but we eventually got everybody where they were supposed to go. So, all right, any other comments here? All right. So the motion before you is the motion to approve a $4,000 to be paid to the Sun City Posse for their continued support in 2026. Yes. Secretary Keiss, would you please take the roll call vote?
Director Brissett.
Yes.
Director Mapes.
Yes.
Director Ruff.
Yes.
I vote yes. Treasurer Gray.
Yes.
Vice President Nedesheim.
Yes.
President Foster.
Yes.
Sir, we have 7 yes votes and 0 no votes.
So it passes its second reading. All right. Any other questions or comments from the board here? We're nearing the end of the agenda.
I do have one thing.
Director Brissett, you must have worked hard to get camera time today.
You're going to need to rest your vocal cords after today.
Sorry. Coming in here today, I found out something. I was asking how nicely it's set up, ready for the bingo you were talking about. And I found out we had employees in here at 2 o'clock this morning to get this done. So I would just say to, General Manager Hill, congratulate, that's fabulous for all your people to come forward and do something like that. They're unsung heroes, because none of this would happen to get 400 people in here tonight if they hadn't, so thank you.
Okay.
Director Brissett and board, sorry. Thank you so much. We do have a great, hardworking team, and we appreciate them too. Thank you.
So I guess a little bit reverse order. I wanted to make sure that it's been a long time coming, but we are now approaching March, and the annual meeting of the members that will be held in this room on March 31st at 6 p.m. The agenda for that is still being fleshed out, but it starts with food, so how can that be bad? And then some presentations by Vice President Nedesheim and our General Manager, Rebecca Hill, and I'll try to stay very short in any, because if I'm not, he'll be ringing this bell. I will try not to bore people with numbers and budgets, but maybe just a little bit about where we are on those issues. And so the idea being, put that on the calendar so you get here if you wish to participate in that. Vice President Edestein.
So everybody should be receiving an email with a save the date. We're sending save the date out. And in that save the date email, you click on the link and it adds it to your calendar. You'll see multiple emails coming out afterwards with updates. But guys, it's a business meeting and it has serious information for us to share, but we're also having a party. So I encourage everybody to come out and, be at the meeting, listen to what we have to say, what we have to share, but visit with your fellow members. So look for that email.
So right there, in those comments and what I just stated ahead of that, you can see the dichotomy between her and I. I'm sitting here going about budgets, and she's talking about we're having a party. Okay, we will try to get through my stuff as quickly. In fact, if we scratch that from the agenda, that might be the best thing to do. But in any event, okay, exchange meeting. Oh, yes.
President Foster, the doors open at 5 and food will be served at 5, but you're correct, the actual meeting begins at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Just wanted to clarify.
Thank you. I was so engrossed about the hot dogs, is that I had just assumed I was going to be consuming them all evening. Because I'm the snack guy, Okay.
So,
That's right. That's a healthy food
It's
group.
very healthy food compared to what you normally eat.
so guys, there will be an email that comes out asking for an RSVP. That RSVP is strictly so we know how much food to buy. So I'm really going to encourage you guys to respond to that so that everybody gets a chance to have, that wants to come, gets a chance to have food. So please go ahead and respond. But that's the purpose of that. Its primary purpose is to make sure we have enough refreshments for everybody.
And I get to add one thing that even the party lady forgot, and we have door prizes. We do. And we have some that have been coming in that,
Are nice.
yeah, I'm just sitting here going, wow, as a board member, I'm not eligible to win, so we got to do something about that.
What?
Yeah, news, flash. But in any event, okay, enough of that. Exchange meeting is March 9th. The next Board of Directors meeting, March 26th. Hopefully, we'll have a full board at that meeting. And then again, the annual meeting on the 31st. So, any other comments, concerns? All right, hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attendance. Yes, turn your phones back on.